Happy Saturday to you, everyone. Hope you're doing well out there. Today I want to talk to you about one of the most used leashes, or really probably one of the most used pieces of equipment ever, I think, in the history of dog ownership. And it is the retractable leash. And just so you know, I have a real love-hate opinion of these devices right here. But just to talk about leashes in general, there's all sorts of leashes. I love my little 4-foot leather leash. I love my little corded slip leash that I have Captain on in most of these videos. Leashes date back, as far as we know, way past the Roman Empire. Yeah, there's been a need that once humans and wolves kind of got together and decided there was a mutual benefit to hanging out with one another, at some point in time, someone said, okay, I kind of need to keep that wolf on a leash here. Yeah, so it wasn't just us husbands being kept on a leash. We decided we had to keep those darn wolves on a leash. And so therefore they started coming upon dog owners, and all sorts of varieties were invented. And in 1908 is the very first patent in which there's recorded a retractable leash type mechanism, some sort of spring-loaded leash that allowed the leash to be taken up kind of like a carpenter's tape measure. 1908. But it took until 1970, all the way till 1970 before these things gained popularity. And they're used quite a bit over in Europe in dog sport competitions, in which someone must have decided, must have seen American Carpenter probably, and said, that thing there that they use that's a good idea. And so to have the end of it come back into some sort of drum, so we don't have to do hand over hand over hand over hand with some long leash. Well, whatever. So it's a great tool, and therefore it kind of took off in popularity originally as a training tool to teach two disciplines: come to me when I call you, and fetch. It was not originally an instrument that gained its popularity in the 70s by heel, sit, down, stay, so on and so forth. It was there to train come and fetch. Okay, so I don't know what the original inventor's idea was of the leash. Maybe it was come, maybe it was fetch, maybe it was all those other things I mentioned. However, the retractable leash has taken off. If I go for a walk with Captain and I come across 50 dog owners walking their dogs, guaranteed I'll put good money on it, 40 of them are walking their dogs on one of these, a retractable leash. Now, when you get these retractable leashes, they come in a variety of different sizes. They really do. You can get some that are designed for really large dogs, a good 80-pound dog and over. And then you have some for the really tiny dogs. We have a couple for our Morkies, Dave and Poe. If we just want to take them out at a rest stop while we're traveling, we'll put them on a retractable leash. And it is a wonderful go-potty tool. Yeah, you just got to let your dog wander off a little ways away from you. Maybe they're a little tinkle shy. Yeah, I love it. I love this tool for many things. As I'm about to get to here, there's some things I just don't love it for. But they do come in a variety of sizes, tiny ones, big ones. They come with ones that have a belt drive all the way through. So I'll kind of hold that up here to the camera. A little belt drive all the way through. It's kind of like having a nylon leash all the way through that drum there. And then you have some that starts off like a nylon leash with the end here. And then it's a cord the rest of the way, a cord. Now I find that if you have a larger dog, definitely go with one that has the belt drive all the way through it, a belt drive all the way through versus the cord. I've had the cord fail me. Now that being said, any training device can fail you, and they typically do when you least expect it and when you can least afford it. Before I ever take any dog out into the world, out into an area in which I have very limited to absolutely no control once the dog's off the leash, I'm going to double and triple check my equipment, and many times I'll have a redundancy built in, meaning 2 collars on the dog, all hooked from the same mechanism, or I'll even have 2 leashes. One fails, I've got a backup. Highly recommend you do the same thing until your dog is so trained that it doesn't matter. Like Captain, you've probably seen him wandering around here somewhere. He's off leash. He's naked in the dog world. I don't have to have any sort of equipment on him at any given moment, but that being said, it wasn't always like that. always make sure I had some sort of redundancy just to keep my dog safe and make sure I don't lose him and have some sort of accident occur because I don't have control over my dog. Okay, but the belt drive is what I use for any dog typically. It depends on the power of the dog, it really does. How much determination they have in pulling and so on and so forth. I will usually about 55, 60 pounds. I go with the all belt. Anything less than that weight-wise and determination-wise, I'll go with the cord because the cord has less drag on it. This thing has a little bit more drag. If your dog's going to run off on this, I'm telling you, I'm pulling it right now, and I having to give it a pretty darn good little yank here. I'm trying to pull it all the way out to the very end of this. This one is a 15-foot, and there we go. I'm at the very end there, and then boom, there it all goes, all the way back in. A lot of drag on this. So if you have a tiny dog and you hook them to a retractable leash, don't worry about it ever having to retract because your dog can't go anywhere. And then a funny story one time, years and years ago, I had a belt drive, and it was a big one. Really, it was designed for German Shepherds. And I told this little Jack Russell to stay in a group class, and I backed away from it. I paid out all that leash, and I got away from it. And I said, okay, guys, here's how you get it done with come. And I said, come. And next thing you know, that Jack Russell shot across that room. It never came to me on its own. It was yanked across the room, probably on his back the whole way, and was dangling in the air when it got here. So be really careful. That Jack Russell was perfectly fine. Typical Jack Russell. Didn't affect him that much at all. He was ready to go for the next come when called. But do be careful when you use one of these. Make sure you don't have too much power on that drum. Okay, and the last option that they come with is the length. As you saw there, this one's a 15-footer. Make sure you know what length you have. 30-footer, 50-footer, some of these even come with 100 feet. And the reason why you want to know the length is so that you can always have control over your dog. And that's one of my pet peeves that I have with these is that I see the lack of control. Meaning, just because you have 15 feet of leash doesn't mean your dog should be 15 feet away from you at all times. That's what I say. It's like they let it just pay out and then they lock it in, and now they're walking their dog on a 15-foot leash. I've had very reactive dogs, both human aggressive and dog aggressive, round the corner of a building a full 2 seconds before their owner rounded that corner. And their owner was absolutely clueless as to what that dog was doing because it was on the end of 15 feet or 30 feet or 50 feet. So that's one of my major gripes that I have. Just because you have that length doesn't mean you should always use that length for the sake of your own dog's training and for the sake of those people that you walk by using these darn things. But that's what I see. I had to deal with it this morning. First thing this morning, had to deal with that. I had a dog in my grill, had no business being in my grill because the owner didn't bother to retract the leash. So guys, it does retract. It also has on it a braking mechanism, which allows you to, for example, if I pay out that much, I just locked it in. So now I can take my finger off the brake and I have exactly, probably about 2.5 feet of leash hanging out of this thing. And then if I release the brake, it'll take it back up. There's a bit of a skill set to using these. So I do give grace to the new dog owner that's using a retractable leash. Sometimes I'll even stop and show them how to use it properly, get a big thank you for that, and I don't have any problems with them going on. But a lot of people don't realize that there is a brake on it, and some people don't realize there's a brake on it in the worst moment possible. For example, again, this thing was used to train, come to me when I call you, and also to fetch, so that you didn't have to take up all of that long line. Man, some of these dogs are so fast, when you say come, they're here. And you still got 20 feet of leash hanging out there. You have no ability to make the dog sit, no ability to make the dog go around you and do a finish or do what we call a military finish or service dog finish. And in dog sport competitions, all of that precision is absolutely required. Meaning when you're training all of this, you want to have control of your dog at all times, at all times. So man, it's terrible to have 20 feet of leash out there and you got this big Malinois, this big German Shepherd, or a little rambunctious cattle dog, and they're just jumping all over you when they get here, and they're trying to push you on you, and they're not lining up perfectly, and they're not sitting the way they're supposed to, and you're going, I'd like to do something to you and correct all of that, but I can't because I got 20 stinking feet of leash still hanging out there. You came much faster than I could reel this thing in hand over hand. So I love this tool for teaching come when call. I love this tool for a fetch, but man, you got to practice a little bit, because even before this video, even me, that's my other pet peeve with these things. The skill set requires a lot. You got to really think about it all the darn time. And sometimes I just don't want to have to think about it that way. And what happened is I took the ball here. It's in my little bait pouch here. The cat has been circling around whining because he wants the darn thing. I threw it. Okay, I'm sorry. Throw a ball on the end of a string and throw it perfectly, so that thing lands at no more than 15 feet away. We'll give it about 17 feet because my arm extended out. Yeah, well, it landed about 17 feet, 6 inches. All right, I'm a little rusty. Cut me some slack here. Well, guess what happened? Okay, I thought it was within range of this. So, of course, there goes Captain. You've seen him run after that ball. Oh, he got a correction that I did not intend when he was going after the ball. My bad. It's all on me. But I tell you what, it took me about 3 more throws of that ball before Captain decided, is it good? Are we good? Did that thing that just happened, is that going to happen again? And I had to convince him of that by throwing it 3 more times. And I'm about to do the same thing again here, except I hope I don't throw it more than 15 feet away. So watch out for that, guys, as well. Watch out for that. Keep in mind that, you know, again, the brake mechanism of these things, that's usually the first thing I see that fails. It's not the belt, it's not the cord, it's the darn brake mechanism. And then lastly, the way you hold it within a handle here. That thing right there, because you're trying to use your thumb to control the brake, try and use your index finger sometimes to control this down here, this thing can pull out of your hand in the blink of an eye. Absolutely. You least expect it, it's gone. It's gone. It's not like what I told you on the 4-foot leash all those videos ago. Gosh, that seemed like a long time ago. Well, I told you stick your thumb in here, hang on to your leash. Now if it starts to go, you got your dog right then and there. You're not going to have this thing rip out of your hand. If you need to let go of it, you just dip your thumb and you're gone. But man, I cannot tell you how many times these things have been jerked out of my hands. And if they've been jerked out of my hands and I was actually prepared for it, what do you think is going to happen to your average dog owner who was not prepared for that to happen? Okay, so those are all my little gripes with the mechanisms. I find that they'll fail. I find that the brakes fail. I find that owners lose way too much control of their dogs when trying to teach them to walk next to them. There's too much leash out or too little leash out. They lose control of their dog, sight of their dog, dogs around corners before they do. That's my complaint. Just the lack of close-in control. But the way it was designed to work was like this. So let me back up here just a little bit. Cow dog, leash up, buddy. All right, my man, I promise. I am going to do the very best I can not to throw this ball at a distance further than what this thing can reach. Okay, but if I do, I'm going to let go of the handle the second I feel it. I'm just going to. All right, you ready, buddy? You ready? Get up. And there we go. And he gets the ball, and look, he comes right back, and bingo, I've got a perfect amount of leash right here. Perfect amount. I can work on that sit. I can do all sorts of things. Really cool for that purpose there. Really cool. Let me try it again. Oh, I'm a little nervous, just so you know. All right, come on, baby. You ready? Get your ball. Oh, I chickened out, as you saw there. Okay, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So I just ran behind him just a little bit. I just wanted to make sure, because I'm telling you what, that when I first brought him down here to the park and I threw that ball and it gave him a correction, the look on his face was like betrayal. Dude, what the heck, man? I just didn't want to go through that again. Okay, so you can do that. You can do exactly what I did. If you think, oh my gosh, that thing take a bounce that way, a little bit further than I intended, then you can just run behind the darn thing. But again, as he came back to me, look at it, I got a perfect amount of leash. I can lock in that little brake. Look where I've got it right there. Guys, that's what I was designed to do. Let me try another thing on here. Come on, cow dog. Out. Down. Stay. So now, if you're working on stay, or you want to work on come and call, so I'm just got Captain out here at a distance. I'm going to leave him out there so he'll Otherwise, you can just let your dog roam away from you, go pee on a bush, what have you. And then when you're ready, you can call him. Come, come. And right there, again, it takes up all that leash. And I've got just the right amount of leash right there, as you can see. Perfect amount to be able to control the dog when he comes back. But what's terrible is heel. Man, that's hard. It's really hard to hold on to this device, step right, pull right. It's really difficult because, again, you're not just grabbing a leash, you're putting your hand inside of a handle. Then you step right, pull right, step right, pull right. Hard to do that. You can get it done. I'm sure a lot of you out there are way more coordinated than I am, way more talented about shifting your hands back and forth. Practice makes perfect. Just make sure that when you do practice, take baby steps. Don't have your dog get a correction when it wasn't intended. Really learn the device, practice it off the dog, releasing the brake, setting the brake, releasing the brake, setting the brake. And if you do, then there's less chance that you'll make an error. But guys, it's a great tool. It is. Especially if you use it for come when called, and you use it to teach the fetch, and you just need your dog to go potty. You at a rest stop, and you got to get out and got to go yourself, and you got to hurry up and get the dog to go so you can get back on the road. It has a lot of wonderful qualities about it. Make sure you check the device. Feel it. Let me grab it back down here. My favorite brand, and trust me guys, I don't get any sponsorship or anything, you know that, is Flexi. It just is. I've held I don't know how many of these retractable devices in my hands. It's the company that seems to put out the highest quality as far as I'm concerned, in my personal opinion. I've had a lot of dogs on retractable leashes, and this one has seemed to never fail me. It just never has. I've had other ones fail me. So Flexi, F-L-E-X-I, I mean, works for me. Hopefully it'll work for you. You may have one that works just as well for you. Okay, so that's it on retractable leashes. Again, use it. If it ain't broke, no need in going breaking it. You're having a lot of success with your Flexi leash. Do so. Just keep in mind, always check your equipment. Make sure you always know where your dog is. Don't let your dog go around corners before you do. Make sure that you don't let your dog just walk on 15 feet away from you or 30 feet away from you when people are coming by with their dogs. Get that dog back to that heel position. Remember, it's a temporary thing. You get past the distraction. Now you can release the brake and let your dog go back out again. Respect other dog owners. Have respect for them. That's it, guys. Tomorrow I am going to be talking about another piece of equipment. It's really needed, but by golly, it's the location of it that just bugs the daylights out of me. So we're working through all this equipment here over these next couple of days that I just had this love, hate, opinion of, relationship with. So I'm going to point out the pros and I'm going to point out the cons, and you decide if you want to use it or not. All right, that's it. Cattle dog, I tell you what, you are off the leash. There's no retractable leash attached to you. Let's get it. All right. I wasn't nervous about that. Yeah, well, sometimes I am because I throw the darn thing and it goes that way when I meant to go that way, and I have to yell, "4!" before someone gets bonked in the head with it. All right, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'll be checking in with you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your day. Good job, Cattle Dog.